Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, EM brings her 4 kids to an adult-only wedding. My mother organized me and my boyfriend's vacation without our permission and wants us to pay her. Entitled parents get kicked out of their apartment and move in with us. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. EM brings her 4 kids to an adult-only wedding. I attended an adult-only wedding for a coworker a few days ago. The actual ceremony was in a very small church, so it was mostly family and close friends, but the reception was for roughly 250 people. The reception was at a very elegant hotel ballroom. Not child-friendly in any way. Crystal stemware, expensive linens on the table, etc. About half an hour into the reception, a commotion started that made everyone stare. EM is arguing with the wedding planner loudly. Me being the nosy broad that I am inched closer to hear. Turns out EM brought her 4 young children to the reception even though the invitations clearly stated adults only. The EM insisted that her kids, in guessing at ages, but the oldest one looked 8-ish and the youngest was under a year old, were super well behaved, so it was fine. Now keep in mind this was around 7:30 p.m. WP was having none of it. She insisted that children were not allowed and she had to leave. In a last-ditch effort to get admitted, EM shouted at the bride. The bride went over and listened to her for a moment and then said in a syrupy sweet voice, "Of course you can come in, EM, but your children cannot." She turned on her heel and went back to her new husband. EM flipped a nut, yelling about how she was invited, couldn't find a babysitter, etc. 3 of the groomsmen escorted her and her kids to the door. Bride doesn't care about EM and I love it. With 250 coming, there are gonna be a bunch you don't really care about. Invites for family and such, maybe even a couple co-workers that just aren't really that important to the actual day and its meaning. EM was not important. We also had a no-children wedding. Well, my husband's family decided that they were going to do whatever they wanted. They brought the whole pack of about 7 kids. To try get them out of the way, we put them in one of the rooms for overnight guests. They trashed the room while the nanny slept, and their parents later brought them into the reception anyway, where they proceeded to steal guests' cake and break several items. We were never repaid the cleanup bill and never offered an apology. They wonder why I refused to hang out with them. One of the parents also spiked my drink with alcohol at a separate event because it would be funny. I am allergic to alcohol. Why allow them to stay? It was asking for trouble. Like the story, they should have been showed the door. When my brother and I were younger, maybe 12 and 10, respectively, my cousin had a no-kids wedding. When my parents showed up without us, all of that side of the family had children running about, and the bride and groom expressed their sorrow that we, Big Bro and I, had not come. My parents had listened to their instructions and kept us home out of respect. I'll never understand that logic, but whatever. My mum and dad were invited to a family wedding in Ireland. We lived in England. We all flew over and bought my gran so she could watch us during the no-children wedding. Turns out it was only us that weren't invited. All the kids of the Irish family members were there. I still don't get it now. I'm having an adult-only wedding, with the exception of our family, because we know they're well-behaved and they're older, but I'm still scared shitless that someone will show up with their kid or one of our young family members will ruin the ceremony. I used to work for a catering place that did high-end weddings. Most of the time we didn't have any issues with kids and they were usually great, but one wedding made me decide that I don't want kids at my reception. It was an alcohol-free reception due to one of the wedding party members' severe allergy, so all the adults were sober during the events that happened. I was working one station out on the floor where I made gourmet sliders, and we had another station of finger foods like fruits and cheeses served with bamboo skewers. All the adults were on the dance floor, so I was just chilling out at my station watching the room when I saw the kids all huddled around a table. The kids had taken several skewers and were setting them on fire using the candles in the table center pieces and were waving around the lit skewers like sparklers. They were also dropping them into the tablecloths when the fire got too close to their fingers. I had to run over and grab my captain, so I wouldn't get in trouble for yelling at someone's kid, to tell the kids off and then go to each table and put out the candles. I think one of the adults attending the party even got a little uppity that the candles were put out, but I preferred that over having to rush everyone out due to a fire. So yeah, if people won't control their crotch goblins from setting fires during a sober party, I don't want to risk whatever could happen at a party with alcohol on mine and my SO's big day. When I read groomsman, I thought I read gooseman. My mother organized me and my boyfriend's vacation without our permission and wants us to pay her. My boyfriend and I had been planning to go to a vacation this summer for my birthday. He has been studying, so meanwhile I was in charge of looking for affordable places to stay for a few nights, maybe a week. I asked my mom to help me with the booking, since she knows a lot of affordable places. The problem takes place a few days later, where she paid for a booking for 2 nights in a 5-star hotel that cannot be cancelled, without telling me or my boyfriend about it beforehand, and expects us to repay her. We didn't even know the schedule or the name of the hotel up until she already paid for it, and we wanted a cheaper place to stay more nights. The hotel is very, very nice, but she did not tell us a word about it. She chose for us without our permission, and now we have to pay her when we wanted to choose and pay for a place ourselves. The price is €350 and she told us she's helping us with approximately €100, but we still have to pay her €250. While I understand she wanted to have a nice detail, we are spending our money for a plan she liked and a plan she did not discuss with us, so it now feels like her vacation and not ours. Her actions don't make any sense and they seem disrespectful to my boyfriend and I. I don't understand the purpose for all of this. I will give her the benefit of the doubt and assume she lightheartedly wanted to have a nice detail, but I'm still very mad we didn't get to choose, and on top of that we have to pay her. Edit. Last night I asked her where could I get the money from, and she told me that I should save up the money my dad gives me. He owes me. While this is not a bad response, she then told me that if my dad gives me, for example €20, I should save them up, give her €15 to progressively pay for the hotel and keep €5 for myself. It's sketchy. She demanding a big part of the money my dad gives me seems to be a recurrent theme in my life. She reasonably hates my dad, he is not the best either, but it seems she wants to control his money through me. Just tell her what you wrote here. I appreciate the help, but I'm sorry we can't afford that, and I will be picking a place within my price that I want to go to. That was a pretty dumb move on her part. I will tell her, but I hope I don't come off as ungrateful or something along those lines. I'm afraid she will accuse me as such. Or maybe not. Why didn't you ask? Why did you book this without asking? Is she coming along? I will ask her tomorrow, since she just told me we had to pay her. I hope it goes alright. She's not coming along. Did you actually mention you needed help to find something affordable? Because I can't get how she would understand that, as in you wanted a 5-star hotel. Also, how can you be grateful for something you didn't ask for? You asked her for help in finding something affordable and then you to do the booking and everything else. You have to ask yourself whether this is a recurring theme with her. If she frequently does things that impact you without telling you beforehand, it's definitely time for her to face the consequences of her own actions. Just think hard about whether you have a good relationship with her. Does it fill you with dread when you have to see or talk to her? Does she make you feel guilty when she doesn't get what she wants? Unless you have a good relationship, you made a mistake by asking her for help. If you do have a good relationship, you need to talk to her about boundaries. This is something I have to think about, since our relationship is rather unstable. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Thank you for the advice. I will think about these questions. Mom, this isn't what I asked you to do. I never asked you to actually book a hotel. Especially without asking me first before booking. I was only looking for suggestions. This hotel is too expensive. We never would have chosen it. Correct, it sounds like you have to choose the words carefully here. Circ, find inspiration for places to stay, not, help me book a hotel. And the thing about 5-star hotels, everything is so expensive: water, food, drinks, soda, etc. I rarely enjoy the uptight fancy hotels, would rather stay somewhere cozy for much longer time. Too bad for her. She's overstepped her role and it's going to cost her €350. You are under no obligation to pay her back. She was especially stupid to book something non-refundable. Do not cave in and pay her. In another comment, OP mentions the suggestion that she uses OP's father's allowance to pay her back. This is blatant manipulation to satisfy her jealousy. And mom here simply wants to take away something good from her child out of spite for her ex. Just be straight, you asked for her advice on bookings, not that she would choose which one. Reasonably shed pay the difference. If she doesn't make up the difference to where you want to stay, just say she's clear for the holidays because you won't expect gifts because she's already given it because she will have to pay the difference. You don't owe her anything. If she is as savvy as she presents herself, she can figure a way out of the reservation. A nice thing for her to do would have been to send you details and walk you through the process of booking the reservation once you and boyfriend made a decision. Entitled parents get kicked out of their apartment and move in with us. So most of this actually happened last year. My uncle, Kyle, 26, had a baby. His girlfriend Jessica, 26, moved in with him and became close with our family. They're the entitled parents of this story. For context, my mother is the oldest of 6 and Kyle is the second youngest. Most of the family lives in a different state besides us and Kyle. We watched their baby every weekend for them, especially after Jessica became pregnant with baby number 2. They got pregnant again literally 3 weeks after giving birth to the first baby. A couple weeks before Jessica's due date, they tell us that they're moving to a small Midwest state, which is far away. My mom is devastated because she had fallen in love with baby number 1 and was excited for baby number 2. When we asked them who would help them with the babies, Kyle said no one helps us here anyways, so it won't be any different. This felt like a slap in the face for my mom, who not only watched the baby every weekend, but spent hundreds of dollars on baby things. So they pack up and move away. Jessica's dad bought them a small house to live in out there, and for a few weeks everything was fine. Then they started complaining about the house. The house was a fixer-upper. Jessica's dad couldn't afford to buy them a nice house in addition to his own stuff. Kyle and Jessica sold the house and moved into an apartment. Jessica's dad was upset and asked for the money since it was technically his house, and they said no. This caused basically Jessica's entire family to cut them off. Jessica was a SOM and Kyle was working. Then Kyle quit his job to help with the babies. I don't know what else they expected when they ran out of money and got evicted. Kyle asked my mom for money, which she sent. The next month, he asked for more money. That's when we figured out he was planning on asking my mom to pay their rent every month. My mom said no, but they were able to get a couple hundred more out of her by saying, "Think of our kids." Eventually, they were kicked out of their apartment. They had no money and no house. Jessica's family wouldn't talk to them. Kyle's parents had no money, his other siblings were pissed at him. He also asked them for money. Something about my mom is that she's the kindest person in the world. You could literally burn her house down and she would still help you when you needed it. We also have a decently large house. For a 4-person family, dad, mom, me, littler brother, we have plenty of space. So, to all of our disappointment, my mom let Kyle and Jessica move into our house with their 2 babies. At this point, the babies are 18 and 6 months old. My room is the biggest, excluding Master's, so I moved out into the guest room. Kyle and Jessica had 7 dogs and 7 cats that they wanted to move into our house. Since me and my dad are allergic to cats, we told them no cats. We told them they could keep 1 dog. Naturally, they shit-talked my mom to their whole family, who immediately told us. They were saying that my mom was cruel and didn't understand how pets were a part of their family. My mom paid upwards of $2,000 on their move back with the agreement that they would pay her back one day. Unlikely. When they finally moved in, we were on vacation. My grandpa flew down to help them move in. My grandpa found 7 cats in our garage. Turns out they thought they would be able to hide them in there the entire time they lived with us. I don't even know how they thought it would work out. So many things happened that won't fit into this post, but imagine the world's worst roommates, and that's them. They were terrible. We all celebrated the day they finally moved out. Your mother needs to grow a backbone and kick them and their animals out. Animals and leeches can all go to different shelters. They're gone. But my guess is she had rose glasses on and wouldn't see the truth. If she had been thinking straight and not blinded by the sacred family idiocy, this never would have occurred. Everyone paid the price for the blind devotion. But people won't admit the truth of their own ears and eyes for a dysfunctional family. I hate your uncle. My suggestion if you own the house is to go to the police station and report your family as squatters and you want them out. If you're renting the house, my suggestion for that would be to inform the rental company about it and let them deal with it. After all, the owner would be upset if the house was taken by squatters. They're gone. And it's amazing how easily these bottom dwellers get around and find places to live in and destroy. I need more. 14 animals, 2 babies, and 0 income? They are delusional. Tell us more. What happened with the cats? What did they do once they moved in? Oh my gosh, there was a different drama every week. It was like living in a reality TV show. The cats went to a shelter, and the dogs went to some friend of a friend. Like 3 months in though the lady refused to keep watching the dogs because they ate all her chickens, so the dogs ended up in a shelter too. I'd like to hear about when they eventually moved out and how that went. Need more story in that. Sounds like it would have been a fight. When they first moved in, there was a conversation setting the expectation that they would move out in 6 months. After 5 months of doing nothing, they started freaking out about how cruel we were to abandon them. LOL. They ended up with an apartment they could barely afford, and we all pretended to be super busy so we couldn't help them move. Your mom is being their doormat. You had to give up your space so your dead best uncle and his concubine can run your poor mother ragged. And since they're living there now, if your parents get sick of their shit, they will probably have to file a formal eviction notice and have it served by the sheriff. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.